I was going to share the thing Glumdark. So this was somebody sent this to me. I got to look up. It just so happens that this tab that's here. This is, I believe, this is Patreon. This is a Patreon funded. Is that the right word? Patreon supported project at glumdark.com. Glumdark.com. This was sent to me. They gave me like a month's worth of access. It's just all kinds of really cool random tables, and they have space theme, fantasy theme, and a cyber theme. Um, all seem really cool. Obviously, I'm going to stick to fantasy right now. Um, and here, I guess, just your statement as a patron, you have access to 2,716 more items and rows than you would otherwise. Okay, so because I'm logged in, because if you just give me a code, like I just go here and it logs me in, probably cookies me or this is something else. Well, I don't know how much. I don't know what the difference is between what you would get not logged in versus what you would get as a patron. But obviously, 2,000, almost 3,000 more items. Let's just go create some stuff. And I think for something like Dungeon 23, either if you're looking for a prompt, you just need some inspiration or whatnot. We got lots of stuff. So they set up these different categories. Oh, and they, just so they sent this to me to look at, but obviously they didn't know when, and I didn't even intend to do this today. So this is something that was, I appreciate the invitation to check it out, which I have, but it was not sponsored in any way. No money changed hands. No assurances were given. Yada yada yada. Okay, so we got some sections here. Features and characters, storytelling and world building, location generators, powers and effects, or items and artifacts. So I will just we can just do a selection before and then just see how it is. We got some obviously we have they are continuing to update these. So this one's new. I don't know if beta just means um I'm not sure if it just means that they're gonna potentially change the options or if there's something else, other functionality. I'm just trying to see was that an uh, oh, I see. It's okay. So this table has 36 more items. That's kind of. I mean, I think it's nice to see. So I guess you would have gotten 63 if you were a non-patron. I mean, there anyway. I'm wondering if it has a way for you to roll it. Is that? I'm just going to refresh to see if I get a different. Okay, I don't. Well, you'll have to roll the table yourself, or is this? Wait a minute, maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. We got a burglar. That's an interesting way of doing it. Doomsayer, burglar, gravedigger's apprentice, gore sleuth. What the heck is a gore sleuth? Sometimes I like if they would tell you what that is. A pot banger. So there you go. Okay, so that die, you hit the die, and it will scroll you to another one. That's interesting. I just the approach is interesting. I don't know ultimately if I like that better than just. I kind of thought that maybe in the red they would just give you a job. I kind of not that I dislike the motto. It was supposed to be my day off, kind of thing. But I don't know if I need it's going literally sending me up and down the table as much as just put in this space or maybe even have another space if you wanted to keep that and then have just like whaler and then give me the number that I rolled. Like I don't know if though I mean, I guess with all things you could find some use because if you're like, oh, I rolled up a fishmonger already, I could look above and below, right? Kind of thing. Um I guess the arrow and the die roll are the same thing. I don't know if I need that to be the same. I think I'd rather the arrow brings me back to the top because the die roll could potentially be sending me to the bottom of the table, and that could be my home, bringing me back home. But cool. At least now we know. Now we know how it works. Hey, dudes. I mean, obviously he's got. I'm just in here essentially as a guest with some perks. So other folks, I'm sure he gets feedback from his users. But yeah, that's like like the I don't know, like just as in terms of like that icon. I'm not sure if I love that, but it kind of. I think the other also because it's sort of it's like it's transparent and the background kind of seeps through. It's kind of easy to lose track of it a little bit, but it's cool. It's cool. So that was bad jobs. I want to look at animal oddities. Oh, so we've got. I like that. All right. Interesting that doesn't give me the arrow yet. Or is the arrow a history? Maybe the arrow does different things. Let's see. So if I click down, I get a water bat swims by flapping bat wings. Cool. So now what happens if I and there's no hover over, that might also help. Like give me a hover over. So if I scroll up, what is that? Well, crow with the face of a man, okay. Owl with knees, following dog, bayes loudly and inconveniently. What's a following dog? That's kind of a I don't know what that means. Maybe there's a better term, especially when you have like a this and that. And you get this one. I guess it's not the only one. They have conjoined twin rabbits, but that one makes a little bit more sense. Though I suppose you could put a pair, but I don't know what a following dog is. Is the dog maybe is a dog? I guess the dog is following you, but that just strikes me as a little bit weird. These are all about their things about characteristics of the animal. Crow with the face of a man. Pig that's I guess a pig that's crying, but still, it's like something about pig. This one, it's not doesn't tell you anything about the dog. It tells you the dog's following you and that the dog is baying loudly and inconveniently, but that doesn't say anything about the dog itself. Any dog could conceivably could do that. That to me is not a particular characteristic of this dog. That's just a dog that's following you around. So it's kind of interesting. Kind of a little bit of an outlier. We get some other ones, a crocodile shrouded in purple mist. That's cool. A two-headed wolf, an owl with knees, 10-foot tall penguin with antlers. Cool stuff. Some of these, I think you can almost break this out and make it even more. Like, because you could take out you could use this table and split it up, right? 4 dozen spider eyes, angry, crying, right? Split up those adjectives and different things, and then you could turn this into a table to give you, gosh, I don't know. If you took this 100 thing and split it up into, a potentially blank something, potentially with blank something else. I mean, that not everyone fits that one, but you could probably write them in ways that all fit, and then you could have so a bear spider, right? So you have bear dash something, and then instead of having it as two sentences here, you just use the with a because you could just with a huge bear head and giant furry body with 8 long legs. I guess that's actually superfluous, really. Just it's a bear spider. I'll fill in the details of what the heck a bear spider is. Still very cool. Oh, it does. It does. Oh no, that's nope. I guess that's just redoing the. Oh, I'm just loading the list again. Okay, I see. I thought maybe it actually was generating dynamic options. So we did bad jobs. Let's creatures. Is there another one of creatures we want to do? Suspicious strangers. What's TPK? Party had it coming. All right, let's see what. So this one does give you a okay a telepathic mind squid that eats worlds. I can see that. Oh, you see, I like this. See, man, why didn't it do this? Hopefully, they'll take this. This is much. Oh, I like this approach. I don't know why it doesn't do that with the other things. Maybe he'll update. I say he. Maybe they will. I have no idea if it's who's behind it, other than their username type thing. Maybe they'll update this because I like this approach in terms of what I'm getting, and then I can see the numbers if I want to. And another thing, like here's the other part, right? If you're gonna have this stuff up here, don't make me scroll all the way down here to hit the die sign. Just give me like you could have just one. Just give me die token somewhere up here. I don't know. An iron basilisk that radiates fear. Now this one, a vampiric monkey that can travel through time. A magnetic swamp ogre that shoots lightning. A treacherous pharaoh that is surrounded by darkness. These are really good. Just as an aside, since you're programming this, you know whether it's going to be a or and. There might be some. Uh, are there even? I guess it depends if you're speaking with King's English, where you might say like you would say some words that start with H, like honorable, right? You don't pronounce the H, so you'd say an honorable man and not a honorable man. Uh, but you can do that form. You can figure that out with 99% accuracy. And of course, if you use one of those words, you could have it from the push. But that one, I really like that. I really like the results coming out of this, and I like how it's keeping me at the top, giving me this thing across here. Some things that might be. Oh, see, if you click on it, you can change just that one thing. That's nice. Put some tooltips. Put some tooltip text on there. I don't know. I know people seem to. I don't want to say people seem to, but there's this tendency, I think, for people to just kind of hide features in plain sight, and it's just like, well, you have to kind of figure it out to figure it out. But the problem is I was thinking. My original thought was, if I clicked on that, would it take me down to the table to where that entry is? But of course, I click on it, and it changes it. And that you might think, well, what's the problem with that? Well, it's fine if I didn't like what I had before. What if I really loved what I had before, and now I've lost it, and I got to try to find it again? Um, so, like a log would be interesting to give me a log. Oh, I've done for my session. I did this many things. Maybe if you're a patron, you can even have a more permanent log. I don't know. I don't know what the computing or whatever kind of database you need, but something to be like, oh, here's your last. Even if it's just like, here's your last five. So if you make a mistake, you can just see what the last one was, kind of thing. And I wouldn't mind if it gave you maybe the numbers that you rolled somewhere in here, or even if it's on kind of a hover over text. But I think you could use things like hover over text to kind of help. Like this was number 13. Click to roll again. Like, okay, great. I don't have to try it out and potentially lose something that I really liked. Figure out what doing that does. But this is really good, and I hope that this is a newer format. I really like this format. I really like that format. But yeah, move the there's no reason to have this way down here and have it, because then it also intersects. It's like in the table stuff where you could just, you could have it up here somewhere, and have it maybe if you want to have it stick, even just having like maybe this header stick, and just having the whole thing just kind of stick together so I can scroll down and see it, but still see what I generated. I don't know. That's cool. I really like what those. I really dig what I was getting on the table. Nice art over there. All right, let's move on to another category. Storytelling and world building, bad omens, bad places, more bad places. Let's see, defining life events. That could be good. You always thought your imaginary friend was just that, imaginary, until they killed the person closest to you. Well, that'll make something unreal real for sure. Your evil twin escaped captivity and roams the land, committing sins in your name. I put crimes, sins as a weird phrase for that. Um, or your parents named you 15. They never bothered with a proper name. All right. That's kind of Stranger Things esque. You always thought that was that one. This is another one I almost feel like could benefit just for giving you more options. But those are good. You need some life events for your game. You want to roll some. I mean, those are kind of nice things to roll up. I think when you're starting a new game and you're doing your 3d6 down the line, and you just want to give some to people that they can kind of latch onto. A lot of times I find that con games, one shots, but even campaign games, oftentimes, like for myself, I don't start with having some great image of the character. I'm not a big fan of writing up backstories, and I'm always kind of like, I'm struggling. That's usually the first struggle I'm having, is like, oh, what were you doing here, and who are you, and what do you want? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here yet. Spindrift for the working man. This is blood orange tangerine. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm at. So having something like that where I can just roll up and just, oh, the blood of my first kill still wet in my hands. I realized my true purpose. Like, now, what is that true purpose? It's not telling me, but that gives me an idea. Maybe I can go from there. We got a new one called Dubious Discoveries. A tiny latch is hidden on the stump of a great tree. It opens to a wondrous workshop of tiny gnomes fabricating intricate mechanisms for traps and locks. That's cute. Cleverly hidden hole in the earth leads down a set of stairs to a black market of weapons, poisons, and books of forbidden knowledge. Whoa. Behind a modest waterfall, a trapped and locked door bars the entrance to the modest. Yeah, I don't know if we need modest twice. The modest accommodations of an elderly goblin who would prefer her privacy. That's why you're living behind a waterfall. Inside of your own pants. Ew. Inside your own pants, some ish. Someone else put it there. Well, that's what you're telling people. Yes, if you crapped your pants, even if you did crap your pants, you'd be telling people that anyway. Those are some interesting discoveries of a certain kind. I'm always the next thing I'm thinking about is, oh man, it'd be great to have that on the per terrain, right? Because if I'm in a part and I'm like, I got a waterfall, and there's no waterfall around, it'd be great to have some different ones. Those are fun. Festivals and holidays. 12 nights. Indentured servants are encouraged to remain awake for 12 long nights. Each night that they successfully avoid sleep, they are given a gift. They are promised that after 12 full sleepless nights, they will be given the gift of freedom. Now, I like that the way this is written because it doesn't actually say what will happen, merely what they're promised. So I don't know. 12 sleepless nights is a long time to do is sleep and still do it's, I don't know I don't know who's making it through there anyway, but I like that they're promised that if they will, that they'll get out. But we don't know if they will. The fortune of rats, little more than thinly veiled plague control measures. The fortune of rats encourages townfolk to slaughter rats in the hundreds and bring them to the town square to be burned in a massive fire. Some are said to hoard the dead rats ahead of the festival, an act which ironically worsens the spread of plague. Interesting, though. This is one of those things I kind of like. I don't, you know, I wouldn't do. I would actually take this stuff out and just have the fortune of rats, and not even be encourages like. And during the however many during the night of the fortune of rats, townsfolk slaughter rats by the hundreds and bring them to the town square to be burned in a massive fire. That's it. Folks will come up with uh, their own things about it, I think. Because I think the one thing, like, you put that extra information there, and it's not bad. Like, it's good, it's fun, right? But what it does do is it takes this event that is kind of enigmatic in and of itself. That maybe just having the event by itself encourages you to ask, well, why are they doing that? And probably plague or something's going to come to mind. I imagine a lot of folks think, well, why would you be burning a whole bunch of rats? Aha, plague. But it also invites you to think about things outside the box, or maybe stuff that just fits your campaign. Well, you've been dealing with a rat cult or rat legs or something else. So now this maybe fit in with that. Now, granted, as a GM, you can do that anyway, regardless of what they give you, right? You're going to take this and do what you want. But still, I think by putting that in there, you're kind of sort of steering folks towards a single reason, a single sort of interpretation of that. Whereas if I think if you took that stuff out, you still have this ritual, and now you have the enigma about the whys and wherefores. And there's even some stuff that's still unspoken, which is there some kind of prize for who brings the most rats? Because if it's just we are encouraging you to do it, why are you hoarding the rats? Like, it's not a big deal. But if there's a prize, if you get to be the rat king or king of the rat killers, then maybe you go, oh, that's a reason for somebody to try to store up a whole bunch of rats. And then, of course, you can think about what happens if you're storing a whole bunch of dead rats and for how long. But really fun events. Ian says, I hear there be lore here. Indeed. Okay, so that's festivals and holidays. We have histories of kingdoms. Let's see. I'm not going to go through all of them. Odd skills and traits. Oh, let's do a quest seed generator. Oh, this one's spinny. Okay, so these quests are generated by a plot mangling automaton. I like the use of plot mangling automaton. So this one is more dynamic. I have to say, it's kind of interesting that it seems like that there are different, I don't want to call it polish, levels of polish, but different. Some of them seem more simple, and just in terms of the mechanics behind the scenes of how these are being generated, some of them more complex. We had just ones that were just flat tables. You press the button and it takes you down to the table. Then there's that one, was it the life path? No, which one was it? No, it would have been the TPK one that put everything on the top and was just generate like great from a three column kind of layout. Now we've got one where it's dynamically generating the number or these options for you. So you can refresh the page, you get 10 more, and get 10 more. Like another different way of doing it, probably a little bit, I'm going to guess more complex than the other ones. And I presume, and I would hope, though I don't know, that maybe they'll bring all of these kind of online, kind of upgrade them over time because I feel like you could get a lot more, not a lot more use, but you can just generate a whole bunch more content with something like this, maybe merged with the other thing, like three tables. Then you can even take those three tables and run it through kind of mangling stuff, and then you can get boom. You can really get a lot more options than just off the flat table. Though, of course, the downsides of those kind of plot mangling automatons is you can get some hot nonsense that makes no sense. And and that's kind of ironically, and I don't know, maybe there is something like that where you could use kind of AI tools to look at sentences and things that are just broken or don't make sense and either fix them for you or just say like, yeah, we're not going to use this one because it doesn't make sense. Because that's the thing that whenever I'm doing things that just truly kind of random stuff is you get these weird things like, man, I love this stuff, but I wish I could have a way to get rid of not the stuff that's weird in an interesting way, but just weird in like the language doesn't make sense kind of thing. But let's see what we have here from these. What is the plot mangling automaton giving us for quest seeds? While drinking at the Wet Mallet, you met an infamous sneak thief named Nami. They want you to dig around the wretched boneyard until you find their lost sausage wrapped in wax paper. They claim it's something their grandfather brought back from the war, stashed in an uncomfortable place. See, this is what's kind of right. It's funny, but it also makes it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So they lost a sausage that's wrapped in wax paper. Okay. And now they say they claim now, of course, there's this phone where this is just this sneak thief just like messing with you. They're claiming that I guess they're claiming here that this lost sausage is something that their grandfather brought back from the war. Now, the assumption here is that the war didn't end yesterday or even last Tuesday, but years ago. Now, it could be that we'll just say, well, the war just happened. So he literally brought back this sausage and then for some reason stashed it in an uncomfortable place. Right, so here's one where you go, "Oh, this is," if it's as a jokey kind of thing, like, "Oh, maybe the sneak thief is a trickster or whatever," but, like, as a plot hook, like, no, which party is gonna do that? Like, "Go find my lost sausage." Like, if it's, it's like, "Oh, okay. I guess that's where we're going tonight, DM, lost sausage in the graveyard. Alright." But, it's not super compelling, and this is where I would like some AI tool to come in and say, "Yep, that doesn't make sense." So we'll take out lost sausage wrapped in wax paper. And we'll inject a different thing. Like maybe we need something that's more. I don't even know how the AI tool would do that, but I guess we're probably not at the point where the AI tool can look at it. We have and say like, yeah, we know. We can just read that and say, yeah, a sausage wrapped in wax paper is not worth whatever it is they say it's worth, regardless of who brought it back and when. Because if that sausage is that old, then it's gross, and we don't want it. If it's not, then they're just messing with us. And somewhere uncomfortable, Terrence is like the back of a Volkswagen. Yes, indeed, that's exactly where you'll find many lost sausages in the back of Volkswagen. So let's look at another one here. Number 5. An asthmatic student named Nico needs you to bring them something, a ring of rusty keys that is horrifying to look at. Nico is willing to provide an upgrade to your weapon in exchange for finding it. Interesting. So here's another one that, okay, but it's gonna take some work. Right? And this is where I would this is like my ideal if I can get the AI tool come in, right? Because maybe in your game you've got students who are able to upgrade weapons, and I'm presuming we're meaning like some kind of magical or quasi magical upgrade. Because what other upgrade would it be? But then how is a student able to do it and not every like where is this Hogwarts that we're at? Like is this the kind of student is Nico are they friends with Hermione Granger and those and even though I don't that can just upgrade magic weapons? I'm not sure. I like the ring of rusty keys. That's horrifying to look at. That's really intriguing. Um, So, this is another one where just when you want to tweak them, right? I think that's ultimately whenever we're working with tools that use things like plot mangling automatons, we're gonna have to tweak them up, right? You know, the student, maybe we change it to a professor or wizard or somebody who would seem like they could be more in a position to do the kind of things that they're doing. Of course, it doesn't tell us like why the Ring of Rusty Keys is horrifying to look at or what it's for, but then that could be just part of the fun of getting on the adventures. Maybe you got to figure that out. They'd say with current AI tech, this is possible. Even the readily available stuff, you can really steer NLP. Interested to hear some of your ideas on this. I mean, I'll have to mess around with that because I would love to do that because I love using random tables and things like all these kind of things. But then, like I said, it's not that I struggle with it. And, I hate. I don't want to sound like I'm down on this Questy generator, right? It's just one of those things I always wish because you just get things that don't quite make sense, and so you have to make sense of them. And that's fine if you have time, but it's also one of those things that if like your party ends up somewhere you're not expecting, and so you want to use this. Yeah, I can't just pop these in the game. I have to read them. I have to figure out like, nope, can't be a student. Nope, can't be upgrade of the weaponry because that's not. I don't have that kind of thing. Oh, it's got to be these other things. And if I have to do enough of that, or there's a certain point where it's like, well, I have to do that much work to get this thing I'm generate to fit. Then why am I using the generator? Like, it just doesn't generate things. Just give me a little piece, and now I have to do a bunch of work doesn't is not worth it as much, right? Or if my, I mean, there's some things you just can't help, right? If the like my world just doesn't work like their world, kind of thing, right? If they're in a world where students upgrade weapons, whatever that means, great. That's not my world, so I just have to change that. But when you're using the kind of automated stuff or things that just like merge tables together, you just seem to get those kinds of results. So if there was an AI tool where I could feed those in, and certainly if I was writing an app where I could feed those in at kind of an API level and say, like, here are these ones that my plot mangling automaton came up with, but now I need them to be more sensible given some, yeah, like Dude says, train the NLP on some sort of ground rules for this implicit world. And that would be awesome. Because then at least you might not get stuff that makes sense for everybody, but it would make sense for given circumstances. But that's the Questi genera. But so I like it a lot, right? But it just know, I guess just know with all these things, not just this one, any one of these, just be ready to have to tweak them up, give you the results that you need. All right, reasons to be evil. Maybe they're just a jerk. Yeah, maybe so. Pure vitriolic insanity, having a great deal of fun. Received slight by the adventurers a long time ago. Reasons to be evil. Okay, perceived. All right. Whoa, slowly vanishing and struggling to just exist. That's a cool one. Money is their one true god. All right. An interesting mix. Reasons to leave the Shire. This should be a good one. Failing to succeed at academic pursuits, the life of an assassin seems like the next best option. Is that's I don't know if that follows, but I think I might like something instead of that second part. Just say failing to succeed at academic pursuits. Maybe you run out of colleges or schools or something because the life of an assassin that's that's not the reason to leave. Well, let me see. But I guess if you're in a shire like place, right? You're in that kind of idyllic home, but it's also static. I suppose wanting to become an assassin, you're probably going to want to get out more. But I just think in terms of this one, like you could have, I guess each one of these is their own. Like the life of an assassin, to be the assassin you want to be, you need to get out more. Something like that, right? That would be one option. And then one is you failed to succeed at every academic pursuit and there's nothing left. Something like that. And there's nothing left. Like that. That's one. Like you're bored. Yeah. Like I had a character who's literally that was the original their original backstory was basically they were bored, they decided to go and walkabout and then got into trouble, which was the adventure kind of as they were walking. Your father wasn't who he said he was. He found old records, stories of his past. Now that he's dead, it's time to find out if they're true. That's a cool one because, right, like they're stories, they're leading you outside the Shire. You want to follow. Your family name has been dragged through the mud. It's up to you to set things right. So this one doesn't seem like it would actually set you up to leave the Shire because I'm guessing that your family's been dragged through the name has been dragged through the mud in. Quote. I think that would be me staying in the Shire to put things right, unless setting things right means I have to leave. That one's a little bit like, well, like why if folks are in the Shire talking bad about me, why is that making me leave? I mean, I mean, you could come up with something obviously, but planet's dying. Ancient tales speak of a way to travel to parallel dimensions where things may be better. Yeah, that could definitely do it. Drug addiction makes you a thrill seeker, or you just need more drugs. Plague approaches your village. You've heard rumors of a cure, presumably like outside your village. Yep, that's cool. Oh, here we go. Travel location generator. All right. So how does this one work? Are these different? What's this? So here they're giving us different biomes. So aquatic. Come on, give me the scroll over. Desert, forest, mountain, plain, and swamp. Okay, so we don't have. I guess there's mountains, but not, I guess, hills. But you're pretty much covered. All right, so behold. So this is the aquatic one. Behold, a narrow stream. Oh, gosh, the stupid pop-ups for app for this iCloud are driving me nuts. Behold, a narrow stream. The water seems a welcome respite from the parched air. You can hear insects hovering over the water's surface. All right, cool. Now if we click on desert. Before you is a lonely wasteland. You see a muddy watering hole. You catch the smell of piss. Ahead of you is a massive pit in the dry earth. Oh, it's a little bit. All right, so we have a lonely wasteland, muddy watering hole. This seems like a super. I don't know if it's putting these together in pieces, but this seems like superfluous. I'm in the desert, so I'm in the lonely wasteland. So really, before me is a muddy watering hole, right? So we cut that stuff out. Catch the smell of piss. I like that. It gives you. It's definitely interesting, and it's going to make you think. Like, is this a? I guess maybe a muddy hole because is it watering? Maybe even take that out because maybe it's piss. Um, I'm not sure how the piss and those things work together, but I guess that's just part of it, right? You don't the players don't know, and then you just rattle it out there, and you guess what happens. And then this ahead of you is a massive pit in the dry earth. I presume that this pit is the muddy watering hole, but it's a little bit unclear because So first, we got a lonely wasteland in front of us. I submit that if you're in the desert, you're kind of in that wasteland already, but whatever. Okay, fine. We see a muddy watering hole. Great. Smell of pee. All right, great. Now ahead, you see a massive pit in the dry earth. Um, yeah, so it doesn't quite read. I mean, it can read either way, but it's got good stuff in there. And of course, read it first, then figure out what you need to kind of if you need to trim it or add something for before you throw it into your game. For a forest, we have now visible as a wood of felled cherry trees that slowly becomes a stagnant pond. Rivulets of rainwater run between the trees. You can hear crickets chirping. That's a really nice scene. I like it. I like it. We have like this, and this is kind of an interesting thing, right? So we're in this, we're coming into this wooded area where we have all these cherry trees that have been felled, and that's a little bit of a mystery. Maybe we care about it, maybe we don't. But why are all these, why are all these cherry trees felled? And I think of felled, I think of that being through intention. They weren't knocked over in a storm, though I suppose they could have been, but I don't know. And probably I'm thinking like for me, when I hear felled, I think of intention that somebody felled those trees, but I suppose it could be natural. Either way, it's weird. Whether it's a Tunguska type effect where all these trees are brushed flat, or whether somebody came and chopped them down. Either way, it's kind of strange. And then this slowly becomes I guess what we're saying is, I guess the idea here is you're following this wood and all these felled cherry trees, and then you get to this pond. It's not that the trees are morphing into a pond. I'm gonna guess. Uh, it's a stagnant pond, but rivulets of rainwater running through the trees. Um, sure, I guess. And you can hear crickets chirping. So we get an interesting. What makes this area kind of unique? Interesting. Get a little bit of a sound thing. The stagnant pond. I tend to think of like a stagnant pond, like the pond, and then having the rivulets together is a little bit, but maybe just you could probably work something else in there. But it's a nice imagery with engaging different senses and that having something interesting. Let's see, for mountains, which I guess includes some hill country, over the next hill, you now see a rising slot canyon. You see a rising slot canyon. The oncoming rain may present a drowning hazard soon. The ground here is difficult terrain. You can hear the wind howling. Over the next hill, you see a rising slot canyon. All right. Over the next hill, you see a rising. I guess yeah, I don't know. Interesting. It's just I don't I don't know enough about slot canyons. It's just one of those weird it just seems like a weird thing. Just a weird combination of over the next hill. You can see like in the distance this canyon kind of rising. It just I don't know, I think of canyons as being kind of flat, so you would I don't know. I'm not sure, but I just might not be visualizing it the way that obviously the way that they're visualizing writing it, but I also don't know if that's because we have some random elements that are in here. But the idea of being inside a slot canyon and then oncoming rain, and obviously the rain might, it almost to me, instead of worrying about the hill part, would be that maybe it's a dry riverbed or something else to indicate that water maybe fill. This is a rain. I don't know a what would you call it a seasonal river or something, which would help just indicate the threat, so to speak. Um, Around here, difficult terrain. I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd like a I feel like difficult terrain because it's like a technical term. I don't love that so much, but that's just the thing. But it makes sense, right? It's maybe rocky, and it's certainly if it starts getting slippery and wet. Wind howling's a nice touch, and I like the fact that we got some weather. Then we get let's see, this one is what's this one for? Grasslands? Yep, plains. Before you is a short grass pasture. The sickening stench of an unknown animal is pervasive. And while around you the land is flat, far to your west is a steep rise. That's great. Look at that. I don't know why, short grass. But anyway, you got a kind of pasture land, you get some smell that's pervasive, and you can see there's a steep rise far to the west. Which is it? We don't know. I like it. And then finally, swamp. You spy disgusting marshland bordering a gleaming bayou. You can detect a fragrance like marigolds, and you are within a narrow valley. The ordering is interesting. But yeah, that's nice. Disgusting. The marshland is disgusting. I think instead of disgusting, maybe putting another sense kind of word in there. Because why is it like what makes this marshland disgusting? Does it smell? Is it full of flies or bugs? Like that's kind of what maybe the detail like more than just saying it's disgusting. Because then the next question, I mean, either I'm asking myself or maybe someone's asking is like disgusting how? How is it disgusting? Is it disgusting in kind of an unnatural way, or is it disgusting in just kind of a yeah, it's wet and mushy and smells kind of way? What is disgusting? The Gleaming Bayou is nice. I lived in Houston for very many years and lots of bayous. I mean, they called it Bayou City. I don't remember seeing a gleaming bayou, but I don't know. That might have just been me. But it certainly sounds nice, and I like the really having the smell. Well, I feel like it's just kind of funny they put the you were within a narrow valley at the end, where I feel like that should be the first part. Like within a narrow valley, you're in a narrow valley and you spy a I feel like the order probably because it's randomly put together, I think, like, valley, yes. Bayou makes sense. I don't know if in a valley I mean, having water in a valley obviously makes sense. I don't know enough about the word 'cause, Houston, bayous, Louisiana, it's very flat. So it's not about there being these valleys with bayous in them, at least not big valleys, more like the land just kinda slopes away and into this quick and there's, like, a bayou here, but we're not in, like, a big valley or anything. But it all make kinda sense, but I would think that the feature that you'd notice first was probably that the valley part, and then maybe the fact that you're in the valley following along the bayou, and then the bayou leads into this marshland. Lots of cool stuff in there, I just go looking at it and, yeah, I think it's got a lot of, look, it's got a lot of good stuff now, and I feel like there's a lot of things they could do to kinda take it up a notch if they sort of want to. But it seems like a really cool tool, and some of it's available free. I don't know if you get all the tables available free, but just in slightly diminished, or if not, or some tables are members only. I'm not sure, but it's Patreon. Let me see. Can we see? Here we go. Let's just go to their Patreon so we can. That's it. Oh, so it's a buck a month. Doesn't seem like a bad deal. So $12 a year if you want to put it like that, or $1 a month for all those kind of tables. Seems pretty good to me. Not a bad deal at all. I think in terms of stuff, give it a shot. But you got some of the free ones. Cool. Well, thanks a bunch, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. Bye now.